If you'll remember last time, the dude and I went to White Sands, New Mexico, and spent the day walking along the beach, beautiful white sand. And after we left there, we went south into Texas and the Big Bend National Park. And although I had been to West Texas before, I was never really this impressed because it, quite frankly, wasn't this beautiful. West Texas, El Paso area is very flat, plains, desert, not very attractive. But as soon as we got here, I knew I was in for something new and interesting. It looks a lot like Arizona with the mountains, but the mountains are a good bit bigger. And I found some stealth camping, completely illegal, and parked here overnight and had a great time. So here we are in Big Bend National Park, and it is big, I guarantee you. It's a whole lot bigger than I thought. I had a chance to come out here a few years back when I was stationed in San Antonio, and ever since I missed that opportunity, I've regretted it. So I finally had my chance to come back here, and this is one of the two places that I have planned that I have not been on the west side, West Texas, and I think I've got a lot of exploring to do here. It looks like there's prickly pear just about everywhere out here. I'm not even sure it's prickly pear. It looks like it, but anyway, the rocks are what I'm here for. The scenery and the rocks and beautiful colors that we're about to see. Hopefully I can capture some of that. Got a fantastic freaking parking lot, or a parking space. I'm stealth camping just behind that brush over there. I don't think anybody can see me, but we'll see. I know I can see the road there, so unless they can see me, maybe I can stealth camp here for the next few days. Maybe, we'll see. Got a lot of exploring to do. Got to see what's out here. There may be some better spots than this, but so far I'm loving it. I'm glad to be parked. We've had a long day of riding. The dude has not been happy today. He's happy to be stopped and walking around and pissing and sniffing. So maybe this will be a good start to quite a few days here. Maybe we'll see. That evening, we were treated to a fantastic moonrise as the sun went down and lit up everything with a beautiful hue of red. And I spent the rest of the evening wandering around in the desert with my camera, taking quite a few time-lapse images that turned out to be pretty good. But I will never forget the moon coming over the mountaintop here, and that's probably, I would say that's probably 1,000 feet high back behind us, and there's actually some roads that go partially up the hill. But this is actually nighttime. It was very dark except for the moon, but with a few seconds exposure you can get pretty interesting images like this. I wished the stars turned out a little bit better, but there was so much light. Anyway, the next morning I moved out to a little bit more acceptable parking space so I could unload my motorcycle and go riding without having to be hidden. So I found this little, I guess it's probably just a dump area where they dump supply or materials, sand and rock and stuff like that. It's about halfway back out to the pavement, and I just decided this is a perfect place to unload my motorcycle and go for a ride. I know you're probably shocked about me riding my motorcycle again, but it's just something I have to do. It's not really, I mean, exploring in a bus is fine, but you can go a lot faster. You can go to a lot more interesting places with knobby tires, so that's what I typically choose to do. And this place was a lot bigger than I had imagined it, and there's a lot of pavement that circles the park, and in addition there's lots of trails, 4x4 trails, I would say. Nothing too particularly rugged. I think most passenger cars you would be okay. Maybe have a little bit more suspension travel with a Jeep or something like that, but I don't think you need four-wheel drive at any of the spots that I went to. But here I am riding down to the Rio Grande. And on this side, we have the United States, the Rio Grande, Mexico. I think it's pretty awesome that I think I might be able to throw a rock from here to Mexico. I think in some places all you have to do is get to the center of the river. Some places the river is, Mexico is on this side of the river. So hopefully tomorrow I'm going to paddle a lower section down here of the Rio Grande and maybe paddle into Mexico and plant a flag or some stupid shit like that. That would be funny, wouldn't it? Would that cause an international incident? I hope so. Although I camped that night on the river at a campground, the next morning I really didn't have the desire to pull the boat out and paddle. It just kind of looks a little muddy and just wasn't as interested the next day for some reason. But after I left the river here, I kept riding until I ran into this old mining village. So I'm at Marisco Mine, close to the Rio Grande, I guess. I think it's that way. Kind of hard to tell. But this place is freaking fantastic. It's incredibly hot. I think it's 90 plus degrees. And it gets down below freezing at night, which it did this morning. And I think it's you can boil your ass out here in the desert during the day and then freeze your boiled ass at night. But glad I brought 3 bottles of water. As you can see behind me, this is the other Grand Canyon. Big Bend. Man, I'm really impressed by this place. Seems like it goes on forever too. I didn't expect that, but I'm not even sure if I'm halfway, but I'm ready to see civilization again. It's been some hard, fast riding so far, and I don't feel like I'm making any progress. So let's get back to it. So it was a long day of riding. Unexpectedly, I really did not expect to spend that much time on rugged terrain, although it wasn't anything really compelling. The riding was long and arduous, and I was glad to get back on the pavement. The ride actually reminded me a lot of White Rim Trail outside of Moab. But great day of riding. Once I got back on the pavement, I was very relieved I didn't have to worry about my water situation or energy level or anything like that. But it was fantastic seeing pavement. And it was a relatively short trip back to the bus as soon as I hit pavement. And as soon as I got off of the pavement and back on the road, I could see the bus and I could see trouble ahead.
Breaking the law, 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 breaking the law.
What's up, man?
Hey, I'm ready to talk to you. The reason I just wanted to stop and saw you last year. You're not planning on camping here tonight, are you?
Well, give it some thought. But the main thing, I need to unload my bike, and I didn't know a better place to do that. So
everything is by permit only. This is not a designated camping area.
Okay.
So if you don't have a permit, which the visitor centers are closed for the day, the only appropriate place to camp is in a designated campground.
Campground. Okay.
We've got one in Cottonwood.
Cottonwood, which is this way.
20 miles down there.
Okay.
There's one in the basin up here, and then there's one down at Rio Grande Village. Yeah, and then so there's, if you hit a visitor center during business hours, there's primitive road backcountry camping, site similar to this, except there'll be some logs set up with bear boxes and everything, but designated camping areas.
Okay.
So yeah.
I've never seen that in the national park. So,
Well,
and I noticed I
national
try to make
parks-
sense out of the websites, and I never can make any sense out of what's going on.
yeah.
But yeah, I saw primitive camping, which to me means get off the road, out of the.
Well, everything is about permit though. It's part
Yeah,
of
yeah,
backcountry
okay.
management. We can't have people camping everywhere on top of each other.
Right.
Somebody could show up right here and camp next to you,
And
we
that
gotta-
defeats the purpose of.
Yeah, we got to
Yeah.
have a way to manage that, and
Yeah.
then it's minimal impact in designated areas. So this is just like a little dump site that our maintenance guys
Yeah,
use.
I figured nobody would be too upset me parking here. So.
So it turns out Ranger Rick was pretty cool about the whole thing, but he did not find out that I had camped less than a mile away at the spectacular location that I did, so I got that going for me. But anyway, great time at Big Bend. Join me next time as I break the law once again and paddle up the San Antonio River without a permit. Not that they would have ever given me one anyway, but anyway, lots of fun breaking the law again.
The law, breaking the law.